Okay, Freilich and Chanukah to everybody. Thanks for being on the Shiur this morning. So I want to talk about a halacha that comes up in the context of Hilchos Chanukah, of the Chanukah candles, that has always resonated very deeply with me. And there's a lot of halachos that we keep that can have deep meaning that we have to learn a lot about. We have to understand them in a very deep way in order for them to take on a sense of significance that we can understand and that we can connect to. And then there are halachos that at times we might not really feel a sense of connection with at all. And sometimes keeping halacha requires a certain level of bittul, a certain level of surrendering my own sense of what feels meaningful. And it requires a sense of bittul, of surrendering myself to Hashem's will. And then there are sometimes halachos that in a very simple, intuitive, almost easy way have some form of clicking for us. They just kind of resonate in some very accessible way. So there's a halacha in Hilchos Chanukah that for me has always fallen into this third category of halachos. A halacha that just naturally lands so meaningfully. And the halacha is like this. The Gemara has a machlokas, the Gemara in Shabbos has a machlokas, a debate between two opinions in the Gemara. Are the Chanukah candles allowed to be used for a person's benefit? Meaning you have to light the Chanukah candles. And as they are lit for the mitzvah of Chanukah, are you allowed to go over there with a book, even with a sefer, let's say, and are you allowed to use the light of the candle for your own benefit? We don't really think of this in any practical way. It's not so relevant to us. We have lights, of course, but back in the times of the Gemara, this would be a very relevant question. Their only light in the evenings was the light of candles. So they would have candles lit. So can I use the Chanukah candle as a candle, or can I not? This is a machlokus in the Gemara. The first opinion in the Gemara says, mutter lehishtamesh laora. It is permissible. A person can use the Chanukah candles for their own use. And the second opinion in the Gemara says, asr lehishtamesh laora, that a person is not allowed to use the candles for their own use. So how do we paskin? What do we hold? So if you think about the song that we sing right after we light Chanukah candles and the words that we say, what do we say? It tells you the answer to how we hold. Haneros halalu kodeshem ve'ein lanu rishus lehishtamesh bahem ela lirosam bilvad. These candles are holy, and we don't have any permission to use them. Ela lirosam bilvad, only to see them. This is the halacha of asr lehishtamesh laora, meaning we paskin, that you're not allowed to use the candles for your own benefit. So what does this mean? I think it means something so incredibly important, so simple that we all know, and we need to be reminded of over and over again. That there are so many things on our plates, on our to-do lists, on our errands, on all the things we have to take care of. And there are so many things in our lives that we can sometimes feel we wish would be different. We want to improve, we want to change, we wish it would be different. Those of us who are raising children, we have children that we want to educate and we want to help them grow and we want to help them develop and we want them to be different. Those of us who are married or in relationships can see our spouse and can see something that we think or we wish would be different. Those of us who live with ourselves, meaning all of us, but those of us who consciously live with ourselves can look at ourselves and feel a sense of, this is not the way it should be. This is not the way I like it to be. I want it to be different. Those of us who live in the world, walk around the world, drive around the world, experience the world, and we interact with people who bother us and annoy us and get in our way and frustrate us. And even if not for any of those negative things, take all of that out of the equation for a moment and just think about, even if not for anything negative, we are all experiencing our lives and experiencing the world and interacting with different people, almost, I would say, 99% of the time, or the overwhelming majority of the time, in a way of mishtamesh bahem, of trying to use them. I don't mean in some disgusting, manipulative way, but we are in a almost perpetual state of mishtamesh bahem, of trying to use the things we come in contact with. If I see somebody in the store, they're the person ahead of me online, and I'm waiting for them to be done. When I get up to the register and there's somebody there checking me out, so I'm just wanting them to check out, to swipe all the groceries I put on the table, and I want to pay and I want to move on. If I'm speaking to somebody on the phone with customer service, because whatever it is I need to take care of, I want them to give me the service, the customer service. If I'm speaking with a teacher in my child's school, I want to get something out of them for my child. If I'm right now, a little plug, Avodas Halev is doing our campaign, our fundraiser. Anybody who appreciates these shiurim can hopefully try to participate and give towards our campaign, so we can continue having these shiurim and our other events and programming. But if I'm interacting with somebody while I'm in a fundraiser, so I'm seeing them as a dollar sign, I want to get something out of them. We're always looking to get things out of people. We're looking to change people. We're looking to get things out of people. We're looking to amass more. We want to have more. We want to accomplish more. We want to experience more. And come the Chanukah candles, and they say, Haneiros halalu, these lights, not just the candles, but these lights, the lights that are all around us, the lights that are everything. Everything is a light. And especially if we're talking about people. And especially if we're talking about fellow Jews. And especially if we're talking about our family members. And especially if we're talking about ourselves. Haneiros halalu, these candles, these lights. Ner Hashem, what's the light of Hashem? Nishmas Adam, the soul of a person. These lights that are all the people around us, closest to us, furthest from us. Kodeshem, they're holy. Ve'ein lanu rishus, and we have no right, lihishtamesh bahem, to just see them from a perspective of, how can I use this? What can I get from this person? How can I change this person? How can I make this person better suited to meet my needs? I can't look at people. I can't look at everything in the world purely from a perspective, purely with a set of eyes of lihishtamesh bahem. Ein lanu rishush lihishtamesh bahem. We don't have permission to do that. Rather, ella l'osam bilvad, to see them. And we can't do this most of the time. Most of our interactions do have an element of using something. Again, not in a bad way. I go to somebody for a service. I'm going somewhere for someone to do something for me. I go to a workout, a personal trainer. The trainer is giving me a service. Somebody comes to me for therapy. I'm giving them a service. I call somebody with a question. I want advice on something. I'm using them to give me something. Mishtamesh bahem. But along the way, we need to be reminded, lir'osam, to see them, to behold them, to see their light, to see what they are. We're so immersed in a culture of having, of getting, of having more and having more and having more, that we never even get to see what we have. Erich Fromm wrote a very powerful book. The book is called To Have or To Be. And he wrote this already decades ago. How much more so it's true now. That the world is trending into a direction of everything being about having more and getting more. And we've lost the art of being. And the Torah says in the very beginning that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Adam and Chava, and he placed them in Gan Eden. And he placed them in Gan Eden with a job, with a task. And the task is made up of two words. Our whole lives are about two words. La'avda u'lishamra. We're placed here in this world, originally in Gan Eden, and then exiled from Gan Eden and now into this world. La'avda u'lishamra. To work the world and to guard the world. I think so often the whole emphasis and the whole focus becomes on the la'avda part. To work the world, to develop the world, to work the land, which is a very important piece. It's the first part, la'avda. But we forget that there's also l'shomra. L'shomra means to guard it. To guard it means I'm not looking for anything more. I'm looking to keep it exactly as it is. I'm looking to see it exactly as it is. And when we only have la'ovda, when we're only from the perspective of working it and trying to have more and trying to have more, we run the risk that we so often fall into, for sure I do, is that we start to lose the light that's there in the other person. We stop seeing the light that's there in the other person. And we start seeing it as dark. We start seeing them maybe only in the ways that bother us, only in the ways that we can use them. We lose the perspective of the good that's there, the light that is in this child, the light that is in this friend, the light that is in this sibling, the light that's in this parent, the light that's in this spouse. And it seems to us that the Yevanim, the outside forces, partzu chomos migdalai, that they broke through the walls of my towers. V'timu kol hashmanim, and they contaminated everything. We see this person as a breached person who has become contaminated. We only see the dark in them. We only see the impure in them. We only see them as a source of frustration. Now, there are some people that we don't have a hard time with. We see their light. But I think every single person knows that they have that child in their home, or that friend in their life, or that person in their neighborhood, or that family member in their family, that they can sometimes, maybe oftentimes feel v'timu kol hashmanim, that all the oil has become impure. I don't see any light anymore. And this is the miracle of Chanukah. This is what lighting the menorah is actually about. You know, there's the famous question everybody asks, and there's hundreds and hundreds of answers. Why is Chanukah 8 days? It should only be 7 days. The miracle is that it lasted 7 days. It lasted 8 days, but it only lasted 7 of them miraculously. What's the 8th day, or what's the first day? The first day is not a miracle. The first day is how much oil they actually had. So why do we do 8 days? I think, at least to me, what's always resonated as the best answer I've ever heard is that the miracle, perhaps the biggest miracle of Chanukah, even bigger of a miracle than the fact that the oil lasted longer than it should have, is the fact that when the Chashmonaim got into the Beis HaMikdash and they saw a completely broken, breached, defiled, and impure Beis HaMikdash, they entered into a scene of disgusting. What the Yevanim did in the Beis HaMikdash shouldn't even speak of. And they walked into that. They saw nothing but darkness and impurity. But they said, we're still going to look. We're still going to look. We're still going to search. Because we believe that even in all this impurity, there has to be something that is unbroken, something that has not yet been breached, something that still remains whole and sealed and pure, even if it's tiny. And the miracle of Chanukah is that they searched. The miracle is that they still believed that that can be found. And that's why it's 8 days and not 7. Because there's the miracle of lasting 7 days, 7 extra days, but there's the miracle of searching for something when everything seems to be lost. And so when it comes to these people in our lives or situations in our lives that it seems that the Yevanim have gotten through, that it's all breached, it's all defiled, it's all dark, it's all impure, what Chanukah comes to tell us, to awaken us to, is to keep believing that it's worth looking, that we can close our eyes, we can reset our minds, we can reset our perspective, we can reset our belief and our optimism, and we can begin searching again. And we can do that 100 times in one day. Rabbi Nachman writes that he had to do that for himself, sometimes day after day, and sometimes within one day over and over again, and sometimes within 1 hour over and over again, and sometimes within one experience, within one Shabbos meal, within one family interaction, the need to reset and decide, okay, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to open them again in a new way. And then 5 minutes later, I'm frustrated and I'm going to do it again. And I can do it again, and I can be like the Chashmonaim that walk in and everything looks dark, but I can still believe that I can look. And I can still search, and I can still find the light that exists even in whatever seems to be the darkest part of my life. And then the miracle of Chanukah is that when you do that search, you will find something. You will find an unbroken seal. And then the miracle of Chanukah goes further. It's that when you search, you will find, and when you find, it will last longer than you think it will. That little light contains even more than you think. And this doesn't mean looking for something major. It doesn't mean looking to be able to see the person perfectly pure, perfectly light. It doesn't mean looking at the situation of darkness in your life and saying, I'm going to find a way that this is going to be all good, that I'm going to only see it positively. Because that doesn't work. And that's why the halacha is that on Chanukah, you can't light a torch as your candle. You light a small little flame. Because what you have to search for, as Rabbi Nachman says, is a nekuda tova, a small point of goodness, and another small point of goodness. The flames are very small. You sit by your Chanukah candles, you look at them, they're tiny. That's what we're looking for, because that's how it can be real. It's to search for something small, and the small will be bigger and last longer than you ever think it would. L'shomra, la'ovda, we have to work, we have to do more, but l'shomra, to guard what we have, to be able to hold the preciousness, to hold the light, and to rediscover the light of what we already have, to not forget the avoda of l'shomra. One of my favorite minhagim that Klal Yisrael have, that the Jewish people have developed over time, is that when a couple is expecting, in the 9th month, the father will do psicha, will take out the Sefer Torah in shul. So typically the idea that it's understood is that this represents and expresses the idea that it's a skula, something that we are opening up and taking out the Sefer Torah, so that just like that opening can happen and that delivery can happen, that receiving can happen in the Aron Kodesh, the Sefer Torah, so too, this baby can be delivered smoothly and easily into the world, can be received into the world. But I always think there's another layer of depth and meaning, which is that what we're trying to remind ourselves is that this child we're about to receive is as holy as a Sefer Torah. That every soul that comes into the world, and for that matter, that means that the mother is the Aron Kodesh, which is also important, but that every soul that comes into the world is a Sefer Torah. And you know what you absolutely cannot do to a Sefer Torah? You cannot use the Sefer Torah. You can't change the letters. You can't add letters. You can't take away letters. What you can do with the Sefer Torah is lir'osam bilvad. You look at it, you read it, you learn it, you study it, l'shamra. You guard it to understand its depths, to see more and more and more that it contains, but it already contains all of it. You don't change any of it. Haneiros halalu kodeshem, these lights in our lives that we have to keep searching for, kodeshem, they're holy. Ve'ein lanu rishus lishtamish, and we can't change them at all. Elalir osam bilvad, but to see them and to see them again and to see them again and to see them again. Hashem should help all of us to be able to see the lights in our lives, to see the lights in each other, to see the lights in our children, to see the lights in ourselves, to see the light of Hashem in everything, and to be able to l'shomra, to guard it, to hold it so preciously. And if everybody can, whoever enjoys these weekly Thursday shiurim, right now Avodas Halev, which is the organization that enables me to give these shiurim, we are in amidst our Fire and Heart campaign, trying to fundraise to create more of these kinds of opportunities for everybody. So I'm going to try and post the link here for everybody before you sign off. If you could just hold on 1 second. And whatever you can, any amount is very much appreciated. And although it's ironic because I'm talking all about about where's my chat here? 1 second. There's the chat. Okay, here's the link in the chat for whoever can, is much appreciated. A Freilich and Chanukah to everybody. Have a wonderful day.